All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and we're going to be talking Conquest today. And what I want to talk about is that I think that Conquest has completely moved away from a game mode that I think used to take skill, right? That there was some skill involved in Conquest. It was knowing, hey, this team beats this team and also gives me this feat, to now I think there's so much of it that's just grind it out, grind it out, grind it out. And it's very evident to me that that's the direction Capital Games wants to head, based on the Conquest Plus pass, as well as some of the feats that are required for this current one. We're going to dive right into this, but I've got to thank my channel members so much for all their continued support. Again, guys, thank you again for putting your faith in me to really get this stuff done. I cannot thank you enough. If you're interested in joining channel memberships, that link is down below. And I'd be completely remiss. We gotta show these guys their love. Come on, the Wampa Jedi Master Tier members, you all are just so generous. Thank you guys again for supporting me and supporting this channel. It is very much appreciated. So here is the Conquest. And let's at least show you guys the Conquest passes again, just for those who really need a refresher. The Conquest Plus pass, you can buy this with like 10 minutes to go in Conquest. You can buy it with as much little time remaining as long as you have time to go through and click and claim all of the rewards. It's not one you need to purchase right away, which is nice because it gives you that leverage to say, I'm going to purchase this when I feel I've made enough progress that it's worth it. I'm going to judge and see what I can do with Conquest to get there. The Conquest Plus Pass, you want to buy this as soon as possible. You've got to make that decision before Conquest to buy this or not, because it's extra energy regeneration, your stamina regenerates faster. You want to capitalize on those things. Those are two of the biggest parts of this pass. You also get a bonus day of Proving Grounds, which only really benefits you if you need Proving Grounds characters. I'd say a lot of the players who buy this pass normally don't need Proving Grounds. They're buying it for the extra energy and the extra stamina. You do get to unequip and swap data discs for no cost, which is huge. That's one of the big things for players is like myself. I rarely ever change data discs, which is a huge problem because maybe I need to do that to get a feat done, and it just takes so much longer. It takes a lot of work. So being able to do that at any point is amazing. And then they give you additional rewards in here. I mean, you're getting Chirotechs for like 30 bucks. This is like $10 worth of Chirotech, I think. Somebody correct me, but I think it's like 10 bucks worth of Chirotech there. But you're also getting this right here, Over-Prepared 1 and Deployable Cooldown Systems, which are gated behind 2 global feats. And those feats are 100 kills with Veers and Piet, and a 40 battles with Rebels. It's just saving you from part of that grind. And this is where I said that I think it doesn't really take skill to get through Conquest anymore. So much of it is just a grind. That, hey, win with a full team of light side Mandalorians surviving. Well, that's convenient for everybody who has Bo-Katan Mandalore. For all you who don't, go figure it out. Win 40 battles with Nisa, Chief Chirpa, Wicket, Paplu, Legray surviving. Notice it doesn't say Ewoks. It's giving you a precise team. One of them being a brand new character. And then notice Ewok Elder isn't here because God forbid we could use revives to get that done. So, it's a grind. It's meant to be a grind. It's meant to push you to your limits in terms of grinding and not necessarily in terms of skill, right? If it was skill related, there would be feats along the lines of, hey, win without a leader, win without supports, win without galactic legends. Like, that's the kind of stuff that takes a little bit more skill. It takes a little bit more thought to what team can get this and get me through, free banners, right? Now, those are just the global feats there. Talking about that Conquest Plus pass, it does give you a lot of benefit to be able to get through Conquest faster and much more efficiently too, because you're getting to use the teams. Like, you think about being able to, your stamina regenerating faster, extra energy. That's less time you're having to spend farming, or less time that you're having to spend to get stuff done, right? That people are going to be able to get energy faster. The next thing to think about here, though, I want to switch over, is the sector feats. And we'll keep my fat face. I'll move it then when I need to. I'll move it over the global feats here because we covered those already. So, let's start up here in Sector 1. 14 battles with Resistance characters. Let's just go through something real quick. So, there's 14 battles with Resistance. Sector 2, 14 battles with Bounty Hunters. Sector 3, 14 with Tuskens. Sector 4, 14 with a full squad of light side unaligned force users. So, 14, 28, 52, right? 42, 56. 56 other battles that are completely, hey, you have to use this faction, right? 56 other battles that are completely designed to, hey, you have to do them. Then you've got gain adapter die 50 times. Well, Iden Versio is the only character in the game who gets that. 500 damage over times is just stupid. But then 14 enemies with Saw Gerrera. Again, a very specific character there. Then come up here. Inflict Confuse 40 times. All right, well, who inflicts Confuse? C-3PO does. Gain Potency up, that's easy. Defeat 50 enemies with Empire units. Not horrible. But again, still not fun, right? Then you got to come over here. Gain Heat 100 times. The only character who does that is Paz Vizsla. So, hey, brand new character. Go get him. Inflict Daze 100 times. Not overly hard, but still just an annoying thing to have to do, right? Like, that's not a fun feat to try to go get. Again, I mean, we already talked about the Tuskens. Some of these ones, hey, win with Commander Luke, win with Moff Gideon. But, like, win with Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. Good luck if you don't have him. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I mean. Gain critical damage up 40 times. Not impossible. Attempt to inflict Inspose 100 times. Not terrible. 10 kills, 10 enemies with Captain Drogon. I mean, it is what it is, right? I feel much more strongly about the Saw Gerrera one. I mean, Saw Gerrera, Captain Drogon, both newer characters, both not ideal to have to, adding in the Scout Trooper up here. I mean, there's some in here where you're like, yeah, you know what, that's fine. And other ones where I think it's a bit excessive, right? Leia Organa surviving is just like a middle finger to everybody who doesn't have her. And then, like, you come down here, defeat 50 enemies with Clone Trooper units. Like, you see it's grindy. There's not a lot of overlap this time. Normally, there's a lot of overlap. Inflict Stagger 300 times. Like, what? Come on now. Stagger 300 times? I really got to do that? Gain Foresight 300 times. Defeat 15 enemies with... 10 enemies... 10 enemies with Iden Versio. You see the point I'm making. It's grindy. And there's not a lot of skill involved in this. It's just, hey, like, there's strategy, but there's not skill. It doesn't take skill to kill 10 enemies with Iden. It's just a strategy, right? There's no, like, I feel like Conquest, there used to be feats that would actually take some skill to pull off. Like when it's win without a leader. There's some skill involved in that. Yeah, there's strategy, but there's skill involved in that. You've actually got to be pretty good to understand, hey, I need to use this character. Like, there's strategy involved in that. But like a skill-based strategy instead of, inflict damage over time 500 times. Okay, I'm going to use Darth Vader lead with Lord Vader with Darth Sidious, and I'm just going to spam those abilities. I mean, that'll work, but that's not really a skill. That's just me doing that battle enough times to get it done. Like, that's where I think I have a problem with the Conquests, is that the feats have moved away from, hey, you're going to use a skill-based strategy to the strategy is all just about grinding it out, right? And the amount of battles you need to do with specific teams is definitely a bit much when all of the global feats are designed on that. Sometimes the global feats, it was a little bit easier, or there were ways to kind of work on a couple of them at once. I mean, this is just, I don't know, it's a bit much for me. So you guys let me know what you think. I just wanted to rant a little bit about the Conquest, if I'm honest. But I do think that this is an inherent problem with Conquest, that the passes are designed to give you these good rewards, but players don't really feel like they're worth it because the feats are just so crazy. And this would be the one fix, I would say. Like, the one thing, if I flip back over to the game, there's like 2 fixes you could do to potentially make Conquest a little bit more enjoyable for the player base. So, the first thing I would say you could do, sorry, I'm moving my fat face around. First thing I would do is you've got like the hard mode. Keep hard mode the same, and then add a one that's like, hey, this is really hard. This is where you have to have all the GLs. It's not as grindy, it's just a lot more work to get things done. That, hey, this node, add in things like, hey, on this node you have to, use teams like a raid kind of stuff. I don't know. Like, expand it a little bit to make it more challenging to play, rather than grinding it out. That, hey, you don't need to have a full team of Ewoks to get this done, but you need to beat this team. And, like, I don't know. I think there could be a way to add a game mode that's maybe a little bit more challenging, that players could exercise skill rather than just exercising, a cheese of getting damage over times. The other thing I would say that could potentially earn them a lot more revenue, and I'll end with this, is let's go to like box 6 to box 7. It's a 100 key card difference. Box 6 is 65 Bane Shards and 25 Dark Trooper Gideon. Box 7 is 90 and 30. So you're gaining 25 additional shards for these 100 key cards. Most players will hit this point and just stop because they don't have the roster, they don't have the characters to get here. So they just stop. And they'll stop interacting with Conquest and they'll just press the sim button and they move on with life. Because there's no incentive, right? What's the incentive to score 550 key cards? It's only if you could score 553. There's no incentive to score 560 or 570. You've got to score this number. That the incentives start to die off because it's all or nothing with the Conquest boxes. What I think would be so much more beneficial, so much healthier for this game is, hey, to get to box, if you get to, say, 5, 6, there's 100 key cards at play, 25 extra shards at play. What if every 4 points along this path you placed these shards? Or you said, hey, we're going to give you, 5 shards here, 10 shards here, 10 shards here. Or maybe, like 5 shards, 5 shards, 5 shards, 10 shards. You know what I mean? Like, make it so that way you feel like you're earning more progress and that players will invest that money. I think most players look at this and say, if I can get box 6 for free, or I can get here with the Conquest Plus pass, I may as well just go here and not spend the money. But if I could earn extra shards at these points or other points along the way, maybe that pass does become worth it. Think about like how many players get to here and are like, well, I'm not going to buy the pass because I'm not here, and I'm definitely not here. So what I'm trying to say is that up here they do a good job of that. Like, hey, you get here. But I think if they flipped the rewards around a bit and said, hey, we're going to give you progress rewards for getting to these points, you're opening up the chance for players to, hey, getting to box 6 with the Conquest Plus pass, you could earn a full 7-star Bane in 3 conquests. I think that would be so much more beneficial. I think far more players would be buying this pass if they could truly see that impact. Right? If they could see and feel like it's getting them things faster. And I think a lot of players just don't see that value because, I'm not getting into the higher levels, so I'm missing out on these shards. What's the point of scoring, 600 key cards when I'm going to miss out on the box? Like, I think if you tried to sprinkle those rewards around a little bit, it'd generate more revenue because players would feel like, hey, buying the pass is going to help me get more Bane shards. So, I don't know, guys. Maybe that's a rant. You let me know your thoughts. As always, like, subscribe, comment. Love all you. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.